Hey, welcome to the show. Every Sunday afternoon, we answer your home improvement questions. My name is Jared Mellick. Sitting next to me is my father, Ken.
Hey, everyone.
Surprise, surprise.
This show is all about your questions, so we're looking forward to your calls.
Where are you? You're in the house. Well, if you need a guy, if you have a project around your house that's been driving you nuts and you want an answer to a question, you can give us a call. My name is Jared Mellick. Sitting next to me is my father, Ken.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today, and it's so good to be back with you. I had a wonderful cruise last week. Our supply house, ABC, what a wonderful, their largest supply distribution center in the United States, took us on a cruise, and it was awesome. Had a great time, but it's good to be back.
Good to have you back, for sure.
Good to be here.
And shows called In the House, all about home improvement and construction. Ken and I own a business called Universal Roof and Contracting. We're both roofing and building contractors. And throughout the week, we help people with their home improvement projects, from roof replacement, roof repairs, siding, windows, remodels, additions, things like that. And then every weekend, we come in and answer your home improvement questions. So if you have one, we'd be more than happy to help you with that. Maybe you have a project that's been driving you nuts. Maybe you have a leaky faucet. You want to know how to fix it. Maybe you're thinking about doing a remodel and you want to know which type of remodel pays off. Perhaps you're thinking about replacing siding and you want to know which is the best one to use. Any type of home improvement question is okay with us. Again, the numbers are 407-297-9696 or toll free 855-297-9696. I actually want to start off with an email question today. This comes to us from John in Apopka. And by the way, if you want to email us a question, you can do it one of a couple ways. You can do it on our Facebook account. You can just facebook.com/universalroof or facebook.com/inthehousshow. Or you can also go to our either of our websites, universalroof.com or inthehousshow.com. There's a little link there to ask us a question. Then we'll read it live on the air and then send you an MP3 or audio file of that answer, just in case you missed the show, which we know you don't. We know you listen every single week. We know you don't miss it. But just in case you get scared like our good friend Scott does the moment the show ends, then we'll send you that audio file. All right, this comes to us from John in Apopka. He writes, I have siding on my house which is rotting at the bottom and near the windows. I think it's called T11. I want to replace it with new siding. What type of siding should I use? John, that siding that you call T11, chances are it's called T111.
Correct.
Is what it's called, and it is a plywood siding. So basically, it's plywood, layers of wood that are glued together, and then it's used throughout the country and here in the Southeast. The rotting problem that you're having is extremely common, and actually in those same areas where yours is rotting, which is along the bottom edge and then around penetration points, is extremely common. The bottom edge usually is from water splashing on the ground and then splashing back up, or a lot of times they'll put the T111 down into the ground, not cut it off of the ground, and then the water will actually wick up inside of it and rot. And so that is an extremely common problem.
Yeah, and if it's not painted often enough, then it's going to also rot. The other problem with that wood starts out to be 3/4 of an inch thick, but when they route it out to make it look like plank siding, the idea is that it looks like siding standing up and down, and it has 4-inch on center or 8-inch on center. Then those grooves that they come in there also become places, if it's not painted on a regular basis, moisture can get in and start to delaminate it, fall apart, and rot.
Yeah, and the other thing is that even if it's painted properly, even if the water doesn't splash back up, it's wood, and wood exposed to the elements in Florida. It's going to dry, it's going to crack, it's going to deteriorate, it's going to rot. So this is just extremely common with wood siding, and even more so with the T111, because it's basically plywood. So it's thin layers of wood that are actually glued together, and so it's just extremely common that it's going to rot. So you're not the only one, John. Now, in regards to what we recommend to replace it with, there's a number of different options that you can do. You can obviously, just replace the rotted sections if you want and patch it. You can replace whole sections of T111 with new T111. You can also, my preference, what I would do if it were my house, is I would pull off the old T111 siding and I would replace it with hardy board siding. That's personally what I would do. I think it's the most durable. It doesn't rot the way that wood does. Comes with a great manufacturer's warranty. Still has a similar look to what wood does. In fact, it does come in the same size sheets, the 4x8 sheets, and they have panels that look very similar to the T111 if you want to do that same look. So the hardy is probably what I would use. Wouldn't you as well?
Yeah, I think it is. It's become a very, very good siding, and in my opinion, also with Jared, the one to use. Now, some people live in subdivisions that have a lot of vinyl. There is some good advantages to vinyl. They make them better than they used to. They're colored all the way through. You just can wash them like your car. You don't ever have to repaint. So vinyl's final, so they say. But it doesn't look like wood siding, in my opinion, like hardy does.
Right.
So
aesthetically, aesthetically, vinyl has a tendency to look a little bit cheaper. Yeah. Cost-wise, it's actually fairly comparable depending on the quality of the siding, but doesn't necessarily look great for applications. The advantage to the vinyl is that you don't have to paint it, so it doesn't require the maintenance that either wood or hardy does. But again, my house, what I would use, I would use the hardy personally. So that's what I would use. And if you want to email us a question, you can do that through our website, inthehouseshow.com. But if you want to get a faster answer, all you have to do is just call us right now, 407-297-9696. Toll free, 855-297-9696. Back to discussing John's question about replacing the siding. One of the problems that I see a lot in replacement of rotted wood siding is a lot of people, especially if they go with vinyl, is they'll have a tendency to just go over the top of that old wood. And we have seen time after time after time where that has caused further problems down the road. In fact, there are people who have replaced their siding, put vinyl over the top of the wood siding. We've had to come in, remove all the vinyl that they just put on, remove all the rotted wood that was underneath of it, and then install new siding on the top of it.
Yep. What happens is rot is an organism that continues to grow. So it's like tooth decay. So you wouldn't want to not drill out the old decay and get rid of all of that. And that's what you have to do. You have to get rid of all of that decay before you go forward and do something on top of it. And very similar to teeth, the same way, you have to treat it. And so that's why it's so much better just to get rid of all of that rotted wood, start over again and do it right, and then you'll never have a problem.
And the thing is if there's visible wood rot that you can actually see, the odds of there being more underneath of that is significantly high. In fact, very rarely do we pull off old wood siding and there not be additional rot that you can't see underneath of it. In fact, I would say if we did, let's say that we did 50 of those projects where we removed old wood siding, I would say probably 48, 49 of those, there is rotted wood underneath of it that you just can't see.
Yeah, the framework, what they did to frame those studs at the bottom, that water, that moisture has run down, and it is rotting that out. And I don't even know of one that we've ever done that hasn't had it. So your guess of out of 50, 49. I think it's probably 50 of 50. You know, it's a strong thing that you do need to go down and look and get a root canal.
Yeah, I mean, you got to see what's underneath of it. You don't want to go over the top of bad wood for sure, and so that's why it's so important to remove that existing area, especially when you have a product like T111 that is so susceptible to rot. It really is. Now, if you are going back with the T111, one of the things that I do recommend that you do is that you paint not just the surface area that you see, but you actually paint all sides of the T111 before putting it on. Now, again, I recommend, I'm typically going to recommend against T111. I'm going to recommend that you go with Hardy. But if you do go with the T111, painting all sides of it, including the edges after the cuts, is a good way to at least resist more of that wood rot and moisture problems. All right, let's go straight to the phones. Let's talk to Carol in Castleberry. Carol, go ahead with your question. Carol?
Carol,
Did
thanks
you
for
say Carol? Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I just bought a home in Castleberry,
Congrats.
and it was built in 1969.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a
Great
galley
year.
kitchen
Right.
that's open on both ends.
Yes.
And I don't have the option of knocking any walls down or anything.
Okay.
But the refrigerator, I'm getting a new refrigerator that has an ice maker and water in the door.
Okay.
How do I run the line? It's on the opposite side of the kitchen, and there's no room to put it on the water side.
Okay.
You know, where the sink and the dishwasher is.
Right.
Do I run it through the ceiling, or how do I do that?
Yeah, that's exactly what you're going to do. So typically when we do that, we're going to run it from whatever the closest water source is. A lot of times we will still run it, even with a galley kitchen, where the water source is on the opposite side. Basically, what we would do is we would run it from underneath of the sink with a shutoff valve, and then it would go up the wall, up into the attic, and then down the other side, down the other wall into where the refrigerator would be. So that's one way to do it. Or if there is a bathroom that is closer to the other side where the refrigerator would be, then we may run it from a bathroom. But wherever the closest water source is, that's typically where we're going to go from.
Okay, so it is pretty typical to run it through the attic then.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. You just want to make sure that when you do it that way, you have to make sure that you protect it so that way, if somebody goes up inside the attic to, let's say run some cable lines, that they're not going to damage the water line. So you want to keep it close to the trusses and run it next to it and then right below and make sure that it's solid. And so it is something that you want to have a professional do. You don't want to just run some tube up there. You do want to do it the correct way.
Right. Well, thank you so much.
No problem. So are you remodeling the entire kitchen?
Yeah.
Congrats with that. That's exciting. The thing is with kitchens is that a nice kitchen is like the heart of the home, and you can do so much to change the value of the house by just modernizing the kitchen. So good luck with that project.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Carol.
Bye-bye. If you want to take her line, it's 407-297-9696. Toll free, 855-297-9696. In fact, speaking of kitchen remodeling, we have an article coming out in next month's edition of Lake Mary Healthy Living, which talks about remodeling trends, and kitchens are one of those things that, as I just said, you can really modernize the look of a house just by changing the cabinetry. And sometimes you want to go to the expense of tearing down walls and doing a whole kitchen remodel, and sometimes you just we do as little as paint cabinetry to make it look better, refinish it. Sometimes you can just replace the countertops and make it look better. A lot of countertops and hardware, just changing those two things can make it look like you did a very expensive kitchen remodel and really change the look of that house.
Especially with all the sinks that are available, the hardware on cabinets, the type of faucet too, those just a few small things can really and especially the countertops. I mean, a huge difference in a home.
Oh, if you want to see a fun video, speaking of kitchen remodeling, we started a kitchen this last week, and maybe actually it was 2 weeks ago now. And the client, her name is Rose, just super sweet lady, husband and wife that own this house. And as I was meeting with her on going over all the designs and all of that, she had said, okay, I just have one requirement when it comes to my kitchen. And I'm like, okay, what's that? She goes, I want to be the one to sling the sledgehammer first. I want to take down part of the wall. So
awesome. I love
that. Her name is Rose, and actually, if you go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/universal roof, then you can see we actually posted the video of Rose, hitting the sledgehammer against the wall. And what's so funny is that she's so busy laughing as she's trying to hit the wall that she doesn't do that much damage, but it's still a lot of fun. And the demolition is one of those things that is at least the fun part of remodeling a lot of times. But one thing that I will warn you with demolition is that you want to do the right demolition. Now, we remodeled my house. I bought a new house in July, and we remodeled, we basically gutted the whole inside, and we've been doing a lot of projects throughout the way. And the demo day, basically what I did is I sent an email out to a bunch of my friends, had a bunch of people come over, and had a demolition party where we got to destroy, the inside of the house. But what you don't want to do is just all of a sudden get a sledgehammer and start tearing down walls the wrong way. There is a science to demolition.
Well, there absolutely is. In fact, when we were doing your house, I wanted to be sure that everybody knew, hey, you can't do this without affecting this, and it has to go in a sequence, kind of the same way you build it.
Yeah, you do it basically exactly the opposite of the way that you build it.
And it went very well. So,
yeah, it's controlled demolition, which I know it doesn't sound as fun as just demolition, but it is, cutting the wall before you actually hit it with a sledgehammer to make sure that the pieces follow properly, taking some of the sections off first before hitting it.
And the plumbing and electrical, the
shutting the power off to an area before you start pulling the electrical out.
Yeah, and AC vents and, just thinking about what's inside before you go to the framework of it and ruin that. And then all of a sudden you got a water leak that's leaking throughout the house and really causing havoc. So, yeah, we ended up, and you, by the way, just over there yesterday looking at how everything's come together, and you just finished your driveway in the front. I mean, you drive up to the house. What a difference in the way this home looks. You wouldn't even recognize it if you saw a picture before and after. You wouldn't even think that it would be possible that you could change the look that much. But it's absolutely beautiful, Jared, and the type of shingles that we used on it, to the pavers in the driveway, a curved driveway, changing the pool area is just been an amazing change. But mostly on the inside, the way you change the height of the ceilings, the entry to the home, changed it from a house that was built in the 80s with low ceilings to vaulted, open, elegant looking.
Yeah, it's coming along really well. We're partway through a number of the projects, and we're going to be posting a lot of the videos on the website so that you can see the progress and see and some of the how to do certain things. But you had brought up the driveway, and we used Belgard pavers, and how this even came about is that my driveway is on the side of the house. The front door, which is a very nice front door, beautiful front door, and then we have a side entrance garage with a driveway. And what I started noticing is that anytime everybody came to my house, they always knocked on the side door because that's where the driveway was. And so we had been in there a couple months, and I think one person had come to my front door,
right?
And I spent a lot of money money on this new entrance. So I'm like, I got to get people to the front door. So we ended up putting a circular driveway in. We're in the midst of it right now. The pavers are down, and I went to Bellegarde Pavers, which and Bellegarde Hardscapes. They make the best pavers in the business, and they're just a great organization for sure. And so we went out to they have a local showroom at 39 West Land Street, and went out there to take a look at the pavers, and they have them all just they have a paver garden there. Basically, it's just a whole section of pavers. So we went down. They give you a little map that shows, okay, this paver is here, this color is here. So we were able to see what the pavers would actually look like before we installed them and before we chose them. So we went down to Bellegarde and chose the pavers, and I'm telling you, they actually made these ones specific because they didn't have any of that color and that size that we wanted, and so they made them specifically for us, and they turned out beautiful. I mean,
they're gorgeous.
They really are gorgeous pavers. And we'll put some pictures on the website. But if you want more information on Bellegarde, their number 1-800-226-9117. And again, they have a local place here in Orlando at 39 West Land Street. And you can also visit their website, which is bellegarde.biz, so BELGARD.biz. And again, they make the best pavers on the market, no doubt about it. And when you talk to them, be sure you let them know you heard about it on In the House.
You know, what a change you can make to your home, especially on the outside, from the old concrete. You know, if you live in a nice neighborhood, and if you go into nice neighborhoods, you notice that the pavers really do add an elegance that you can't get with concrete.
Mm-hmm.
And the price point difference between having a driveway that's got cracks all through it and you have to tear it out, and to go back with concrete versus going with pavers, there's no question in my mind what you should do. So those of you that are out there and are listening, and I have a number of customers that are looking right now for pavers, and we've talked about it, and we're putting prices together for them, that you definitely want the paver look over a driveway or the stamped concrete or concrete.
The advantage to the pavers over concrete is that the individual pavers actually move independent of one another. So, like when we were installing, actually one of the pavers actually cracked as we were installing it, because you have to stamp it, and you have to put weight on it to make sure that it's nice and solid. Well, one of the pavers actually cracked. You know what I did? I went in there and I removed that paver and put another paver in its place. Yeah. You know what happens with concrete if that happens? You have to re-pour that entire section.
Right.
And so it's the thing is that pavers are just significantly better. And cost-wise, when I just did the numbers. I just did it on my place, and the cost difference was nothing. Yeah. I mean, it was right around the same cost. So.
And the look is elegance,
yep.
comparable. Yep.
All right, we need to take a quick